Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Beta and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to get out of debt and simplify our financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. All right, well, hey, hi, how are ya? We're here again with another weekly check-in, and it was, again, another week that was not particularly spendy, but we definitely colored a bit outside the lines, so you guys will get to see that here and kind of how we handle that. So what I'm gonna do is zoom y'all in so that you can get a closer look at my expense tracker here, and then we will get into the weekly check-in cash unstuffing shenanigans. All right, let's get to it. Alrighty, so I am just gonna go ahead and jump right in because as I am wont to do, some of my expenses are going to, oh, there's a little dog that's loose outside my window. Aw, I hope that's the house he belongs to. We have coyotes that just kind of wander around our neighborhood, and I would hate for this little guy to be a victim of one of them because he looks like a Yorkie. So a Yorkie is not going to be able to hold his weight with a coyote. Anyway, that was some, we were just thwarted there right off the path. Anyway, we're going to jump in because I have some explanations behind some of my expenses here. And so we'll just go ahead and jump right into it so that we can be accountable, so that I can be accountable to you. Anyway, first up, you're going to be absolutely shocked to your very core. It was a debit purchase, and it was from none other than my good friend Target. That was awful handwriting. This one is, again, broken down into, oh gosh, I didn't even offer an explanation. So for those of you who may be new to my channel, hello, hi, welcome. As of right now, I am 50 subscribers shy of 3,000, which absolutely blows my mind. Like, crazy, crazy. Anyway, I will be doing a little giveaway once I reach 3,000, so stay tuned for that. But for those of you who are new to my channel, my weekly check-in is where I hold my debit card purchasing accountable for envelopes that we cash stuff. So for example, with this Target purchase, I made it with the Target Red card, and even though we do earmark a certain amount of money for Target to just kind of stay in our checking account, sometimes, well, almost every time, it breaks down into multiple categories. This one purchase will house multiple categories within our budget. And so then I usually have to pay back, and some of those categories we cash stuff for. So I have to take the cash back to the bank to pay my checking account back. Otherwise, I will overdraw my checking account. You know, I'm having a hard time speaking today, guys. I have to pay the checking account back. So that's what the weekly check-in is. It's me kind of being accountable to all of you so that you can see what we spend on a weekly basis. And also so that we don't overdraw our checking account, because that would be bad. Bad. Anyway, so that's what this is. So first up, the Target purchase in total was, let me see, $96.56. So $96.56. And let me just go ahead. It broke down into a couple of things. It was Target, because again, as I've mentioned before, Target is a line item where we keep the cash in our account since we use the Target Red card. So that was $68.79. And And with the next one, it was just household. So household, and that was for $27.77. And this one I do have to pay back to the bank because we cash pool for our household purchases. So that's how that goes. Next up was also a debit purchase. And I do this, I've mentioned this before. Actually, I think I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it in my last weekly check-in. Hold on, let me grab the date really quick. So it was on the 18th. And it was at Kroger. And typically with grocery, because that's what this comes out of grocery. Typically with grocery, I mean, we cash pool for this, and I usually pay for groceries in cash. But with Kroger, I do it on my debit card because in my Drop app, which I have all my referral information linked below, you get points for every dollar that you spend at Kroger. And so I just kind of keep that, or I do it that way. I swipe my debit card for Kroger purchases so I can get those points on that cashback app. So that's what this works out to. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky one because this purchase was for $62.24. And this is just absolute accountability with you guys. This was an unplanned-ish purchase. So I had a friend coming into town from New Zealand, and he is like on a storm chasing trip in the like Texas, Kansas area because he's one of those people who enjoys the tornado thrill. So he popped into town. He was like, hey, I'm going to be in your area for a little bit, you know, want to hang out and visit. And I was like, absolutely. So, I went to the store and grabbed some charcuterie things. And this was outside of our grocery budget. And if I was a smarter person, I would always kind of keep charcuterie things on hand because that's kind of like my jam. Whenever I have company over, whether it's planned or unplanned, I feel like the best little like thing to throw together to feed people is charcuterie because the presentation of it is really beautiful. But also it's satisfying because it's like meats and cheeses and crackers and fruits and veggies and all that kind of good stuff. So anyway, even though he was just one person, we definitely went outside of the grocery budget here. But something that I don't think I ever really go over with you guys is that every single time my husband gets paid, so he gets paid bi-weekly, our entire grocery budget comes out every single time. Well, I say comes out. We plan for our grocery budget through his pay. So we spend $325. That's what we earmark for groceries a week. But the money is actually sitting in the checking account so for 2 weeks. So it's $650 that we earmark from every paycheck of my husband's to cover the next 2 weeks of groceries. So technically, even though we went over the grocery budget, the money is still some of the money, because I cash stuff weekly, in case you guys have not noticed, but I cash stuff weekly. So I only pool $325 a week, but $650 is always sitting in there every 2 weeks for our groceries. So I am going to take the little bit of grocery rollover that I have and pay it back to the bank because we need that grocery money, inflation and all. But obviously the full $62.24 is not going to be going back to the bank. And I'm just going to kind of be taking my grocery rollover back to the bank for the next couple of weeks to kind of compensate for the overage here. So it'll kind of be incrementally paid back to my debit account, but it's not like the end of the world, I guess is what I'm saying, because we always have a grocery buffer kind of sitting in our checking account. And as I've mentioned in my budget with me's and so on and so forth, our bills money sits in our account as a buffer anyway. And so we're never worried really about like overdrawing our account. But I just didn't want you guys to think that like, you know, I wasn't going to be held accountable for this purchase. We absolutely are. And there's a plan in place in order to kind of slowly eat away at this unplanned expense. So I know that was like a super wordy explanation, but I promise it all works out. It all comes out in the wash. Next up, okay. So also, actually, and I think this purchase happened on a different day, but it came out on the 18th. And, well, I'll just explain. I told you that this is going to be like an explainy kind of, weekly check-in. So Starbucks, we pulled it from Dine Out, and it was $20 because I just refilled my, Starbucks card. This was also an unplanned purchase. So life, let me tell you guys, life last week was just kind of crazy. So one of our neighbors has a 7-year-old son who is in my daughter's class, actually, at school. And so they're neighborhood friends because we live right down the street from them. I'm friends with mom and dad, and their son is friends with my daughter. Well, he is a special little unicorn because he was born with several heart defects. They're pretty serious, and it could mean a short life for this little guy, but he is kept alive on the day-to-day with a pacemaker. Well, his pacemaker broke, and so he had to be rushed to the hospital. He had to have surgery to put in another pacemaker. And I'm happy to report to you actually that as of filming this video today, he is headed home from the hospital, pacemaker intact, little heart pumping, and everything is good right now. But obviously we were all very worried for him. And so we went to visit him in the hospital before he had his surgery because it took them about 3 days to get him scheduled in surgery. And he is just such a little champion. Anyway, so I popped over to Target with my kids to buy him little gifts, which will be the next expense here. But also it was just a, kind of a stressful day. And so my kids wanted Starbucks and mom wanted Starbucks. And because, you want a little treat when your heart is feeling sad. And all of our hearts were feeling sad because it's scary. I could spend an entire video telling you guys about what this family has ahead of them as far as the little boy's life is concerned. And he is not done getting surgeries, and there's so much up in the air and unknown for him. And we know all of this, and we are part of this family's life. And so just the direness of the situation was weighing on us. And I know it might sound silly and frivolous, but sometimes when stuff like that happens, you treat yourself to some pumpkin bread and a cold brew from Starbucks. And so that's what we did. And so that's what this purchase is. And then next up, as I mentioned, also a debit purchase. And also on the 18th was Target. And this was for gifts for him. And it amounted to $38.22. Now, these two purchases, you will notice I did not put an asterisk next to them here to pay them back to the bank. And the reason for that is very, very fortunately, we had some overage in my paycheck that we were not planning for. And what we decided to do was to compensate for these purchases with that overage. So it was kind of like a little miracle gift that we were very happy about. And so that's what we did. So I don't have to return this cash to the bank, which is also kind of nice. And we were able to treat him and the kiddos, my own kiddos. This was just a very, very long day because we ended up being in the hospital with him for hours and hours because he was just so happy to have company. So anyways, Next up was also like, it was an online purchase and it was on the 19th. And I'm doing Venmo because a friend of mine purchased a shirt that did not work out for her. And it is going to work out for me. And she very graciously, she was going to give it to me for free. And I was like, no, I have to at least pay you something for it. So she charged me $25. So I Venmo'd her $25 for this really beautiful shirt that I'm excited about. So I do have to pay that back to the bank. Next up was, let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to think that I just like live at Starbucks and Target. So on the 22nd, it was my day off. That's what it was. It was my day off, and me, hubby, and kiddos all went on a lovely little hike, and then we popped into Starbucks afterward. And so my husband and I decided that what we would do is split this purchase from our envelopes because we didn't have any money in like Dine Out or Family Fund to cover this purchase, and we didn't really want to pull from those anyway. And so we were just like, let's just split our spending money on this Starbucks purchase. So that's what we did. Next up, also on the 22nd, debit purchase. Am I in frame? Well, I'm glad I checked. I was like popping out of frame there for a little bit. Okay. It was on the 22nd also, and it was at Lulu's, which is like a online clothing retailer, and I bought myself a little dress. So, I'm kind of excited about it. And it was $51.96, and I do have to pay this one back to the bank. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys really are going to think I live at Target. I swear I don't. These next two are also from Target. But I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. Sometimes the Target purchases for my grocery shopping will hit the week before, and sometimes they'll just hit the week after. So it depends upon when I do my grocery shopping and when the Target gods feel like allowing the money to hit my account. So both of these were Target purchases technically, although one of them was in Starbucks. I don't live there either. But I was out of coffee grounds to make my cold brew. Can you see that? Yes. So I was out of coffee grounds to make my cold brew. I'm gonna take a sip of that. I just got my sheet wet. Meh. By the way, my expense tracker is available in my Etsy shop, which is linked below. So I was out of coffee grounds. So I used some of the like leftover Starbucks money that I had put on the card from up here or in my Starbucks app, and only had to pay, what was it here? $8.92 out of pocket. This came from our Target line item. Oh, that's gonna like tear the sheet there, I think. And then same day, obviously, because it showed up in a different purchase. It was at Target, and it was multiple categories. The total purchase was $87.32. And I was very spendy this week, guys. I bought just like a standard white, like racerback tank for myself. So that was $8. And also from our Target line item was $79.32. So this, as I've mentioned, stays in the bank, but I do have to pay that $8 back to the bank. So now that we have, this is it. This was like the purchases for the week. So now that we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and add up what I should be returning to the bank, and then we will unstuff the cash. All right, so let's get to adding this up. So I've mentioned this before, but I will mention it again. Whenever we pay back money to the bank, we round up to the next dollar. So, for example, this household purchase, I'm going to be returning $28 to the bank, not $27. And then my husband tracks all of this change, and it kind of adds up to be like a nice little buffer in and of itself. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom through adding this stuff up, and then I will come back to you guys and we will unstuff our cash. All right, so at the end of this unstuffing, we should have $153 here with us. So first up, we will just go ahead and pop into the high priority sinking funds to cover the $20 of rollover that I know that I have here in grocery. And I will just put that there. And then I'm gonna come to the back of this into household because I need to grab $28 here from household. So let me do that really quick. 10, 15, 25. What did I say? That quickly, I forgot. Oh, 26, 27, 28. So that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. $10 remaining in household. 10. All right. And let me just go ahead and put, so we got a little check mark here and check mark there. And then I think all that's left, hers. Oh, and my husband's too. All right. So that will be in the low priority sinking funds. So I will go to my husband first because we're just pulling 10 from him. And that leaves him with 152 to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 85, 95, 96, 97. So 297 and my husband. And then let me just put a little check mark next to that. So from me, we are grabbing, so 25 plus 10 is 35. Plus 52, hold on, 35 plus 52, right? So 87 plus 8, my goodness, $95. So we're taking $95 from my spending total. So, oh, ow, I'm gonna itch. So 50, 70, 90. Actually, let's grab some ones. 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So $95. And that leaves me with 20, 40, 55, 65, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 75. So this week definitely brought up some of my, like, I'm an emotional spender. And cause I'm the spendy person in my relationship, in my marriage. And this past week obviously was very emotional. Just, being in the hospital with my friend's son reminded me a lot of being in the hospital with my dad. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on my channel here before, but my dad actually passed away in January of last year. And it was quite unexpected. And so, there's some grief, obviously. I mean, not that you're not grieved, even if it was an expected death. But there was definitely grief associated with it. And there's ongoing grief, obviously. I miss my dad every day. And being in the hospital with my friend's son actually brought a lot of that back up. And I realized that about myself when I was kind of going through the motions of the week and just feeling the weight of what my friend was dealing with her son, and then spending all that time with him in the hospital definitely brought all that stuff up. And then, I was a little spendier than usual last week, and I was like, oh, I'm an emotional spender. And it's not that I didn't know that, but it certainly highlighted it for sure. So not to get all like Dr. Phil on you guys, but I was definitely reminded this week, like, when Veda is sad, Veda spends money. So it's fine. I didn't overspend. I spent what we had. But it's important to like know these things about yourself. So I was definitely reminded of it. That's for sure. So I don't want to bring you guys down. We share stuff on this channel. Obviously our greatest downfalls and victories as well, financial victories, but this is also just real life stuff, like our finances are kind of a picture of what's going on in our lives in a very broad and vague way, but it is. So here we go. Sorry for rambling, but I'm going to go ahead and give this cash account and make sure that we have what we're supposed to have to take back to the bank. So here we go. 50, 70, 90, 110, 120, 30, 5, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 153. And that is, even though I had to erase what I had here to do some other math, I know that that's what we needed. $153. So we did it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in as per usual. Maybe by the time this video goes live, I will have 3,000 subscribers. But even if I don't, thank you all for subscribing, for following along, for hanging out in the comments, for just supporting me and my channel. It means so much, actually, more than I ever really am able to articulate to you guys. So thank you again. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm so excited every single time that number changes. So thank you if you have, and thank you if you do. And then I hope you guys have a great weekend, and then I will see you on Monday for another cash stuffing. Bye, everyone.